Now this is the PPC curve which shows the different, which is the locus or the joining line of the different combination of X and Y commodities that can be produced within the country. Now the few properties of PPC curve that we will be studying in this video is, if any economy decides to produce at some point which lies interior to the PPC line, that means they are not producing what is possible, but they are producing less than what is possible. For example, at this point it indicates a production of 3 units of Y and 2 units of X commodity. But how much production is actually possible? With 3 units of Y you can get a combination. This is the point. So with 4 units of Y, 2 units of Y is produced at this interior point. But with 4 units of production of Y, it is possible for the economy to produce 3 units of X. So what production is possible? 3X and 4Y. And now where is the economy deciding to produce? 2X and 4Y. So in both these points, Y is same, but X is less. The X commodity is produced less than how much it is possible. So with using the resources or labor, 4 units of Y can be achieved when 3 units of X is produced. But the production is happening 4 units of Y with that 2 units of X. That means few laborers are either not putting their effort in increasing the production of X. So these points which lie interior, it shows inefficiency in the production process. Inefficiency in production process. There is some lacking in the production process for which the economy is producing less than how much it is possible. Every economy tries to make maximum utilization of the given labor to produce maximum of X and maximum of Y that is attainable. These points are known as attainable or feasible points, which are feasible for the economy to produce. But lying inside means you are producing at a point which shows inefficiency in the production process. If suppose the production happens somewhere at this point, what does it indicate? The production possible, how much production is possible? With 1 you can produce 9 units of Y. So this is the production possible. But if you produce any point interior, what happens? Here you are producing 1X but with 7 units of Y. So production of X in this example remains same, just opposite to this example. But Y production is less than what is possible for the economy. So it shows interior points are inefficient points. So if an economy is opting production at an interior point, then the combination of either X or either Y is less than how much is possible. And any point that lies outside the production possibility indicates unattainable point. What is meant by unattainable point? Now this point over here shows that Y is 7 over here and X is 3.5 or suppose 3. So our production possibility shows that with 7 units of Y you can produce only 1 unit of X. But here we can see with 7 units of Y, 3 units, 2 extra unit of X can be produced. Now this can only happen if the resource or the labor increases or the technology improves. Now, in our assumption we have taken that labor remains fixed, labor is not increasing, technology is also fixed, technology is not improving. So the way you produce, it continues to be like that, and the labor remains the same, it is not changing. So this higher units of X cannot be achieved until and unless labor and technology improves. So if this is constant, it means the 0.37 cannot be reached, extra unit of X cannot be produced because labor is fixed and technology is constant, none of them are improving. So this point becomes unattainable point, or it is not feasible. Unattainable point means it is not feasible for production. So this is one of the point: attainable, unattainable and interior points. Now if a PPF shifts, shifting of PPF means this is the original PPF. The PPF can shift outward. Outward shift means now both X and Y's production can be increased. Any point on the PPF over here shows that more of X and Y is produced, which indicates either technology have changed or the resource, the given amount of labor has changed. Let us say it was 100, we assume there were only 100 labors, but now the amount is doubled, or 150 labors are being engaged. So more the labor or the input, more can be X and Y produced. So any point on this PPF shows that more production is now possible of both the commodities. So this is the outward shift indicating that production possibility has increased. Whereas just the opposite, if you shift inward, it shows that either labor has been withdrawn from the production process. You were using 100, suppose now you have to work with 50 laborers, or the technology have become obsolete. So the technique of production is old, so it is not giving you productivity to increase X and Y production. So that time the PPF shifts inward, showing that production possibility of the two goods X and Y have reduced in the economy. Number 3, PPF is downward sloping. You can see that the PPF curve is downward sloping. Now why this downward sloping happens? It happens just due to the fact that with given amount of labor, you cannot increase both production of X and Y. Rather, what is happening, if you want to increase the production of X, you need to drop the production of Y, because you are taking labors from here and allocating in the production of X. So when the relation is like this, the arrows move in the opposite direction. To increase X, Y has to decrease. So there exists, we call trade-off between the two commodities. They both cannot be increased simultaneously, or both are not decreasing simultaneously. It happens that if you want to increase X, Y needs to drop down. Opposite relation exists, or we call this negative relation exists between the two, or trade-off exists between the two. Then only you get a downward sloping curve. The opposite also true. If you want to increase Y, you have to shift the labor from X to Y, so X production will go down. Now if you see any point, suppose this was the original PPF that we have drawn. So when I increase the production of X by 1 unit, Y is dropping to 9. Similarly, when I increase the production of x by 2 units, y is dropping to 7. So an increase of x is resulting in a decrease of y. Similarly, if you compare from this point and if you go above, here you are only producing x and no y. But when you shift to this point, you are producing 3 units of x. See, amount has fallen. Then only you can produce a positive unit of y. Similarly, if you move from this point to here, x has dropped to 1, y has increased to 7. So you are basically cutting down the production of x to increase the production of y. So when opposite relation exists between the two variables that we are taking in the two axes, we get a downward sloping curve. The next point is the PPF looks concave. It is not a straight line PPF, but it looks concave. Now why this happens? Because we have taken one assumption of increasing cost assumption. Okay. Now here only we will understand the concept of very important, what is opportunity cost. Now what do you mean by increasing cost? If you are producing x, suppose you are increasing by 1 unit of x, you have to decrease. So for changing this amount of x, delta means change, the sign or symbol of change is delta. So change in x is 1 unit, you are increasing by 1 unit. Then what you need to sacrifice? You need to sacrifice production of y. So y needs to decrease by 1 unit. From 10 it becomes 9. Again you can see when you increase x by 1 more unit, that is if you produce 2 units, it is increasing by 1. So y is decreasing, it comes from 9 to 7. So y is changing by 2 units. Again, if you devote some labor, if you withdraw some labor from y and use them in the production of x, you can get 1 more unit of x and your change in y will be from 7, it is dropping to 4. So it's a gap of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 3 units of y you have to sacrifice. And lastly, if you want to produce 1 more unit, that is 4th unit, 1 more addition to x, then change in y will be by 4 units. So y directly falls from 4 to 0. So change in y or sacrifice of y is 4 units. Now here change in y indicates the cost or the pain undertaken to produce or increase production of X commodity. So the change in Y, how much I am sacrificing? Every time I am increasing X by 1, I am making an incremental rise of X production by 1 unit by devoting the labors, taking out the labors from Y production, for which the Y production is falling, and that is known as sacrifice or the pain or the cost. Now cost in monetary sense means when we buy the commodity we have to make a cost. Cost means a monetary sacrifice that we have to do. But here cost is measured in terms of not money but other good. It means that for producing X we are not sacrificing money but we are sacrificing the production of some other good. So that is also the cost or pain undertaken to produce. This is known as the opportunity cost. What does it mean? It means what is the amount of sacrifice that I make of the other good or the best alternative that I could have produced with the given labor. So the given labor is engaged in production of X and Y. When I am using more labor for X, I am decreasing their usage in Y and the Y production drops. So this is known as cost. The production of X becomes costlier because every time the sacrifice of Y or the next best alternative that I could produce with a given labor is increasing. The sacrifice is increasing. And see, the sacrifice is not constant. For producing more and more X, I am sacrificing every time more and more of Y. And that is why the curve, if you plot the curve, you will see it's not a straight line, but it is a concave curve. Had the sacrifice been same, sacrifice same means Y every time I am sacrificing by 2 units every time. That means a constant sacrifice of Y every time by 2 units. Say from 10 it becomes 8, then it becomes 6, then it becomes 4, then it drops to 2. So Y is sacrificed, or the cost is same, or the sacrifice is same for increasing X production. But here we can see that the sacrifice is increasing every time. That means the cost is increasing every time for producing X. So this increasing cost, or we can say the opportunity cost, in terms of production of one good, in terms of sacrifice of the other good, is increasing. The sacrifice is increasing. And when the sacrifice is more, we say that the cost is more, the pain is more. When you buy any good with the use of money, if you have to give more money, you feel the cost, it is costly. You are sacrificing more money. Similarly, here to produce X, we are sacrificing Y every time by more and more units, and it is not constant. And because this increasing cost operates, we get a concave curve. If every time the sacrifice would have been same, Y is decreasing every time by same amount for an increase of X production, then we should get a straight line PPC. So if any question comes, is PPC straight line possible? Is straight line PPC possible? It is definitely possible only if the sacrifice of the other good happens in a constant term. That means there is no increasing cost. So constant cost we can say. So that time PPC will be straight line. But otherwise, because of producing extra units of X, we are sacrificing more and more of Y. The cost is increasing and we get a concave curve. So here we come to the end of this chapter.